Hello and welcome to the Penalty Box Perspective podcast. My name's Nathaniel, and you've just got me today recapping the last group games of the Olympic group stage. Matt is otherwise occupied and can't make today. I'm sure at some point in the future you'll have an episode with him and not me. So lucky all those of you who listen to that episode rather than this one. But nonetheless, we got a day's worth of hockey games to be to go through. This has been recorded on the Monday the 16th of February, but we're recapping Sunday the 15th games. Also, we've had a day off today, so there will not be a podcast tomorrow, more than likely, with the next game starting on Tuesday. So, next episode from us on Wednesday. But anyway, I'll get straight into it. Obviously, 4 games covering off Group A and Group C. Obviously, with Group B having already been completed. We'll start off with Group A, as they were the games that sort of started off sort of the day, really. Switzerland versus the Czech Republic played off at the start, and the Switzerland actually beat the Czech Republic in overtime 4-3. This was a mighty important game, this one, as it sort of accounted for who would take second place in this group. France had pretty much already rooted to the bottom, and Canada obviously rooted to the top. So this was the game that sort of was super important between the two, and what a game. It really lived up to the billing. And like I say, it went to overtime. It sort of had a bit of everything. Quite a few penalties, a few decent goals. Switzerland obviously playing without Kevin Fiala, who was injured. But yes, Switzerland went 3-2 up in the middle of the third period, and then was trying to hold on for dear life. And Martin Natchez comes in with the clutch goal. Great play by Pasternak and Hronek. It was a great goal, and the Czechia team was going off absolutely crazy that they pulled back into it. And you kind of thought when watching that game that the whole momentum was with them, that when they went into overtime they can carry that through and continue it on. But it was not to be. The Swiss came through and scored the winning game in overtime, and that made them second in the group. So good work, Switzerland there. Obviously, Czechia finished third in that group, and the other game in that group was Canada against France. I think the positions were already determined going into it. Canada really playing to cement their sort of top spot out of every team. Obviously, pretty much guaranteed the fact that they're going to get a bye week in the next set of games, but they came out against France and they pulled no punches. Tom Wilson started the game off strong with a goal, but there's 3 goals in a minute. Tom Wilson scored for Canada, and Doué scored for France straight on the counter, like 13 seconds later or something daft. But then Canada came straight back out and came 2-1 up, and from there it was sort of business as usual, I guess, for Canada. A couple of talking points from this game, even though there was not really much to play. It was really great to see with this game. It was really entertaining to watch, even though you knew how it was going down. For me, Macklin Celebrini went through, scored the 5th goal on a penalty shot. But that stemmed from his own sort of penalty. He was hooked on the way on a one-on-one with the keeper. Now in the NHL, typically the rules are the person who's fouled gets to take the penalty shot. And Celebrini, being 19 and young, didn't necessarily know the rules in Olympic hockey. That meant that anyone could take that penalty shot. I think he was asked about it afterwards, and he kind of looked a bit aghast by having assumed that he was taking the shot. And that he probably would have gone back and let McDavid or Crosby or a senior member of the team go and take the penalty shot. But not that it really mattered, because he went and absolutely buried it and made no real difference. What is not to love about this Celebrini kid? Now, I was hoping Matt would be here we could talk about this. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about Celebrini, but what a young, great, level-headed, great-minded. He's joint top scorer of the tournament so far. Great head on his shoulders. Great skill. It's just great to watch. He's going to be the future of this sport for many, 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 many years. Can't wait for that. But yeah, it was just a really great sort of game, really. We also saw our first fight of this Olympic tournament. I mentioned this to Matter a few days ago, and how we don't really see it in this sport because it can lead to a game suspension that could be really pivotal for the tournament, as it were. And plus, is it in the spirit of the Olympics? Obviously, the NHL allows it, but on the Olympic stage, when lots of people are watching it, do you want people fighting in the sport? That's maybe a question for another day. But it starts off with uh, a French defender essentially sticking it to McKinnon behind the net. Now, maybe it's another point of contention. For me, it was a clear, horrendous hit for me. He sort of leaned into it and separated his elbow from the side of his body and really stuck it into the chin of McKinnon. It was only ruled a 2 minute interference penalty rather than a roughing or anything like that, but it immediately gets people's backs up, Tom Wilson especially. Um, and it led to a bit of a tussle between Wilson and this French defender. So much so that obviously Tom Wilson knows not to fight because that'll rule him out for a game. So he did throw the gloves off and really sort of have a check, but he wasn't really that interested. And then the French defenders just sort of pulled him down to the ground out of nowhere. Obviously the refs jump in, separate it, and Tom Wilson gets up very heated and is just incensed that this guy's just got away with a hit against McKinnon. He's then seemingly got away with taking him down to the ground for no sort of apparent reason, I guess. It wasn't like they were both stood ready to throw punches and that's how it happened. It sort of refs are already in the middle and the French defender pulled him down. But yeah, they didn't really throw any punches, but they both get hit with the roughing penalties and the fighting penalty as well. Due to the delay me recording this podcast, we have actually had the results back, and neither of them are facing any sort of punishments, not getting any game suspensions or anything from it. So I think common sense prevailed. Get them out of that game for them to stop things from exploding even more, and they're both free to play another day. But that was obviously just a very interesting touching point on that game. You know, Tom Wilson's been right in the thick of it in this tournament. It's been quite the star in his own right. But yeah, 10-2 victory for the Canadians against France. Probably talked about that game way more than perhaps the scoreline deserves with how one way it was going to go. So that then leaves it with Canada on top, Switzerland in second place, Czechia in third, and France in last place. And we go into Group C. And they started off with a game with Denmark against Latvia. Obviously, Denmark having lost to Germany, going into and then having lost against America, was really needing to win this game to have any chance of sort of boosting themselves up the group table. Whereas Latvia has come off a surprise victory against Germany themselves. So really, it's kind of a game where they could all play each other and beat each other. These three teams with America out and up in front. But Denmark started off strongly, scoring in the first 30 seconds, then going 3-0 up sort of towards the latter end of the first period. First period ended 3-1 to Denmark. Latvia sort of makes a bit of a comeback. They score another goal in the second period, but then sort of with 2.5 minutes to go in the third, Denmark score an empty net goal, meaning that they win the game 4-2. Not much to really sort of say about that game, really. Not many talking points, particularly. That leads us into the last game, America versus Germany. America needing to win by +10 goal differential to overtake Canada at the top of the standings. They don't quite do that, but they do come away with a 5-1 victory. Again, that was never really in much doubt. Germany could not really get any sort of attack going, and when they did, it never really came to much. Tim Stützle did get a goal, but it was fairly easy pickings for America. And one of the most interesting things, I guess, from this game was the Kachucks were right at it. Matthew chirping off at Leon Draisaitl. You might have seen the quote online. Not going to repeat it here because I think it's it's all part of the fun and games of the sport. But I don't think Draisaitl deserves to get any shtick like that. But Brady Kachuk were throwing hits left, right, and centre, getting himself involved. They're just having a whale of a time at the Olympics here, bullying other teams and stuff like that. But yeah, it's good for my guy Brock Faber to get a goal in this game. So good shout out to him, and Austin Matthews coming in with 2 goals and an assist as well. He's obviously Captain America this tournament, isn't he? So yeah, what that means then is America's won every single game. They top the group on 9 points, and it leaves Germany, Denmark, and Latvia each on 3 points. I'm not going to begin to try explain how they've come up with this order, but Germany essentially finished second in the group, Denmark finished third, and Latvia finished fourth. So that's it. The pool stage is done. It's completed. That's it now. We had a day off today, as I'm recording, and then we go straight into sort of the second round ahead of the quarterfinals on the 18th of Feb. So they're playing a game tomorrow. They then play the quarters the day after that. There's another day off before the semi-final, and then a day off, and then then they got the medal games, haven't they? So it's a four game, 8-team first round in this tournament. So Canada and America have got a bye, as well as Slovakia and Finland have also got a bye. So we got a game for Czechia against Denmark coming in. I think Czechia should have that one, but I think that's going to be a very close game. You then got Switzerland coming up against Italy. For me, I think the Swiss are a better team than them, and it's the same with Germany against France. I think Germany should have that against France. And then we have Sweden against Latvia. So I think Sweden are gonna win that game as well. So unless there's any sort of major shocks, I think 3 of these games are pretty much set for who I think should win. So be interested to hear what Matt would say on this. But I think this tournament, it gets these teams an extra game if they don't perform well in the group stage. But I think it just kind of make this round's almost kind of pointless. We know Italy and France aren't going to win the tournament, and they did poor. They didn't win a game, so why are they getting an extra game? For me, I don't quite understand it, but that's where we're at. So keep an eye out. 10:30. Well, yeah, 10:30 sort of kick off between Czechia and Denmark. I think that's going to be the game of that stage, so keep an eye out for that. But what that means is the winner of that game then goes on to play Canada. That's a rough matchup for the quarterfinals. The winner of Switzerland versus Italy go up against Finland, and then Germany, France, they go up against Slovakia, and then Sweden and Latvia, they'll go up against America. So it does look like Sweden, America could be a quarterfinal matchup. That projecting to be quite a very, very good game. From that, I mean, you can work it out. Canada will likely beat Czechia or Denmark. Finland will probably beat Switzerland, and Slovakia or Germany. Coin toss, I guess, really. I'm just spooling here. Who knows in tournament hockey? There might be a surprise. Who knows? But what I do know is that after the quarterfinal round, the semi-finals are then redrawn again, so it doesn't quite follow the same kind of bracket. But we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, some good games yesterday. Watched quite a lot of them all live. It was a day of hockey for me, which suits me down to a T. I didn't have to stay up late either. Fantastic times. But yeah, be really excited to see what happens going on in this tournament. We should have Matt back with us on the next episode. But by now, hopefully you'll know where to check us out. Leave us a 5-star review. The PBP podcast, Penalty Box Perspective. All our socials are all linked to each other, so you should be able to find us. But make sure to give us a follow. Any feedback is appreciated. I love this sport. I hope you either do or come to love this sport as well. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.